It's a hard election to have as your first election. You know, the country's so split, and I feel like either way I go, you know, a lot of the things will not be solved. A lot of our problems will not be fixed.
It's kind of concerning. I'm kind of worried about it.
So it's cool. I mean, it's an unprecedented moment in history.
At least she's not like 100 years old.
First black woman president, that would be dope.
Welcome back to Battleground. Young voters there from our swing states talking about the election. Every election cycle, we hear so much about young and first-time voters and the hope for both sides to win over as many young people ages 18 to 29 as possible. The only problem is that historically, younger voters haven't voted anywhere near as consistently as, say, baby boomers and other reliable voting blocs. Consider these numbers. In the 2022 midterm elections, barely a quarter of voters age 18 to 29 cast a ballot compared to over 63% of voters 60 and older. That's a huge difference. And even in the 2020 presidential race, which saw record youth voter turnout, youth voter turnout was still far below that of older Americans. Just over 50% for younger voters and nearly 80% for older ones. So that is the dilemma for both campaigns, how to engage with a voting bloc that can be difficult to get out to the polls. For more on the elusive quest for the youth vote, I'm joined by Christian Paas, senior politics reporter with VOX. Christian, I just want our audience to know we are not holding you captive. You are not in a hostage video. You were literally covering the DNC, traveling all night, and this is the spot you found to do our show, and we appreciate you.
Of course, no, I'm very happy to be here with you.
Not against your will, okay? In 2012, Obama lost voters 30 and older in then battleground states Florida, Ohio, Virginia, and Pennsylvania. But he won those 4 states in part because he won majorities of young voters there. Could we see young people make that kind of a difference this year?
Well, it might sound cliche to say that every vote counts, every vote matters,
yeah.
But especially in battleground states, and those that you noted are places that have pretty big college student populations, and college students are probably a little more tuned in, yeah. So it's going to be important to turn out those voters.
And Christian, recent history shows us that getting young people to vote, it's a challenge, and that's true for Republicans and Democrats. Why is that?
One thing that's important to remember is that young people exist, especially in this election, in a very different media environment and ecosystem than even younger generations in past elections. I mean, I've written and reported a bit about TikTok and how different the views of people who use TikTok, especially if you're younger, tend to be from those who are not TikTok users.
Yeah. The
way that they get informed about things is very different from the way older generations are getting informed and the way younger generations in the past have too.
Yeah, and that leads me into this next question. When Kamala Harris became the nominee just over a month ago, she was met by a flurry of social media and online buzz, things like Brat Summer, the coconut meme. Has that been a burst of energy among young voters toward the Democratic ticket, or do they read this as sort of older Dems trying to pander to them?
I think the important thing to recognize from memes, the power that they have is something that campaigns and traditional media like us might not be able to, hold anymore, which is saturating younger people with messages, uplifting messages, a change, what people describe as a breath of fresh air, both in the candidate and even in the way that people talk about politics. Because, leading into the debate, the vibes were pretty rotten. People weren't necessarily positive or optimistic, especially younger folks, feeling like they didn't necessarily have a choice in what candidates were being offered to them. And might want a bit of a change, a bit of a separation from the past. And I think what the memes really showed were essentially a combination of positive grassroots kind of enthusiasm, and also, a willingness to tune back in and maybe be a little bit more curious about who Kamala Harris even is.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about Donald Trump. He's also been reaching out to younger audiences with appearances with people like Logan Paul and Theo Vaughn. People like my parents don't even know who those people are, of course. But is this a good strategy for him?
I mean, it's definitely something, and it's definitely, they need to do something, right? Because the thing, especially with younger people, there is a pretty significant kind of divide between how much young people support Democrats or how much young people lean into identifying as progressive or liberal in certain aspects, and the willingness to even consider conservatives or Republicans. And so the key here is that the Republican Party, and especially Donald Trump, really need to get in front of young people, and especially for a lot of younger folks who might not remember the golden escalator, might not remember some of the comments that Donald Trump made in 2016, even into 2020. I mean, that's definitely a place where Republicans and Donald Trump definitely want to make some inroads and at least chip away at some of the resurgence in Democratic support among that group.
Christian Paz from VOX, thanks so much. We really appreciate your terrific reporting.
Thanks so much for having me.
Okay, you're free. Go be free. For more on all of this, visit us at battlegroundnews.com or click on the QR code here. You can sign up for our newsletter, download our interactive swing state map, and find our social media links. And if you miss an episode, that's all right. You can catch up on YouTube or through our podcast. Up next, why the increase of Asian American voters in many of our swing states could make a big difference in this election. And the Democratic National Convention has gone above and beyond to include Gen Z voters and young influencers in its programming. At Olivia Juliana posted on Instagram, for the first time in history, 2 Gen Z Texans took the stage at the DNC. We are proud to be from Texas. We are proud to be Latino. We are proud to be American. Young conservatives have been equally vocal across Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram, supporting Trump's counter-programming events and taking jabs at the Harris Walz campaign. Battleground will be right back.